Hey, it's Mr. Redstone, and in this video we're going to be calculating some rates of change, also known as the slope. Now what that is, it's the change in the y variable divided by the change in the x variable. That's why we use this Greek letter delta. Whenever we talk change in something, we're talking about a difference. So the change in y would be the difference in the y values, change in x is the difference in the x values. Now when you get good at these, when you're given a table, you can almost do them mentally. What I like to do is pick two entries in the table and find the change. In this case, 3 became 7, the change was 4. The corresponding y's, -4 became -16. That means it decreased by 12. So the slope would be -12 divided by 4, which is -3. Now, I don't want you to think that this was just a fluke because I just picked those two numbers that the answer was -3. Truth is, it wouldn't matter which entries you picked. In that first case, -4 to -2, it increased by 2, and the corresponding y values went down by 6. So again, the slope would have been -6 divided by 2, which is -3. But some of you out there have noticed, why did you do any of that at all? The slope was given in the question. Yeah, it was. -3 times x, well, that's in slope-intercept form. Your slope was given, and it was -3. Now, just to give myself a little bit of more white space for this next example, what is the slope of the line passing through -4,8 and -4,3? Well, what I like to do with these, because the big error that students make is they get variables substituted in the wrong spot. So I'm going to indicate the x and y values of the first coordinate and the x and y values of the second coordinate. Then I'm going to write my equation and we're going to substitute things in carefully. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 3, subtract 8. x2 is -4, and we're going to subtract away -4. 3 minus 8 is -5. -4 subtract -4 is 0. Well, thou shalt not divide by 0. That means your slope is undefined. If you were to have graphed this, and I'll just do it, just a quick sketch, you see -4, 8 is up here. -4, 3 would just be below it. And you can see how these 2 points are connected with a vertical line. And a vertical line always has an undefined slope. Don't leave your answer as -5 over 0. Tell us it's undefined. Next up, we have a graph. And what we're going to do here is calculate the change in y and the change in x. And I'm going to use the two intercepts, 1350 and the 150. Now this is going to be a negative slope because it goes down to the right. I started at 1350 and I end up at a y value of 0. That means the change in y was -1350. Change in x, it went from 0 all the way up to 150. That's a change in +150. So your slope is going to be -1350 divided by 150, or -9 over 1. Or you could just write it as -9. Now I've got one more problem I'd like to do with you. And this gets to the understanding of, do you know what slope means? So I've got a line with slope of 2/3, passes through the point -6, -8, and 9, k. We want to know what is k. So I'm going to start plotting what I know. I know I've got a point at -6, -8. Now I'm going to use that slope of 2/3. If you understand what slope means, it's telling you the change in y divided by the change in x. Every time x increases by 3, y is increasing by 2. So what I can do is just add a bunch of subsequent points going from that initial point of -6, -8. And I'm going to keep doing that until I hit an x value of 9. And once I've done that, I've arrived at my final answer. When x is equal to 9, the question's asking me, what's the y value? And I can just look at the graph and know that it's 2. I tell my algebra students all the time, when in doubt, graph it out. But some students are stubborn. They want to plug numbers into a formula, they want to substitute, and they want to solve something. So I'm going to show you how we could have done that. Slope is the change in y over change in x. And now let's substitute what we know. The slope is 2/3. And I've got 2 coordinates. I'm going to say x1, y1 for my first point, x2, y2 for my second point. And now let's substitute some things in. K is our y2, -8 is our y1, 9 subtract -6, and now we're going to clean that up. 2/3 is equal to k plus 8 over 15. So we could cross multiply now, because this is a proportion, but there's an easier way. 2/3 is equal to 10/15. So what I'm going to do is rewrite the left-hand side of this equation. So 10/15 is equal to k plus 8/15. That implies that 10 is equal to k plus 8, or k is equal to 2. You get the same answer, but as you can see, this method algebraically is a little bit more difficult. You've got to be good with your integers, your proportions, and your equation solving. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.